Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode with Mic'd Up with Amulika. Today we have a very special guest. He is an elite American javelin thrower, and he's been making waves since his time at the University of Pennsylvania. He won the NCAA D1 Outdoor Championship, setting IB and school records. He also has a lot of academic achievements, including graduating in magna cum laude at the Wharton School, and he had a dual concentration in entrepreneurship and real estate. He also took part and represented in 2024 the University of Georgia Bulldogs, and he earned his second NCAA javelin title there. He earned his SEC javelin honors, and he was also named the SEC Track and Field Community Service Team. He is now pursuing his master's degree in law at the University of Georgia while continuing to excel on the field. And a super cool fact is he played at the U.S. Olympic team trials earlier in his career, and he placed 8th and finished 4th at the 2021 Olympic trials. So without further ado, welcome, Marc.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So how have you been? What's up? What are you doing here at UGA?
Well, I mean, that was a really nice introduction and everything, and then as of today, we just got some pretty big news. So to add kind of another notch to my belt, I was selected to Team USA's World Championship team in Tokyo, Japan.
Wow, congrats!
Thank you. Yes, I'll be going out there a week from today on Tuesday, September 9th.
Yeah.
And it was funny, I was actually coming back home from the facility today, and right next to my garbage can outside was like this big box. I was like, okay, like I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But I cracked into it once I got home, and inside was all of the Team USA uniforms and gear and all of that stuff. So that definitely made it all feel real, and I'm starting to settle into that feeling of finally making a senior Team USA. So really proud of that and excited to see what it's like over in Tokyo.
Okay, now I feel like I'm sitting in front of a celebrity. You're making me nervous.
Well, good.
Okay, awesome. Well, I don't know if you knew, but I'm about to reveal your deepest and darkest secrets. Are you okay with that?
Let's air it all out.
I'm just kidding. But on a serious note, I do want to get to know like the ins and outs, who you are behind the athlete, because we all know you're super cool and you're amazing as an athlete, but I want to know what goes on behind when the camera's not there, when you're not, focused on the winning and the losing and the stats and all that stuff. So, Are you ready?
Yeah, ready to get into it. I think that this part of athletics is definitely overlooked. A lot of people don't highlight it, so thank you for doing this. I think that it's going to be some good content, in the moment, and also hopefully, as you keep doing this for other people, you'll discover a lot of really neat things.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So first question, who are you when you're not the athlete, and how do you recharge or just be yourself?
I definitely put a lot of pride into athletics. So nowadays people are kind of stigmatizing your hobby if you're trying to be really elite at something as like overbearing. And I don't think that is necessarily the case for me. I take a lot of pride in what I do, and I do identify as an athlete, and I think that's something that is special. But because that's something that I prioritize in my life, there has to be other complementary aspects of my life that need to support it so that I can be the best athlete that I can. And one of the most important things when you're training and competing at a really high level is recovering. And the easiest way to recover is actually to eat.
Yeah.
So you just need to make sure that you're eating well, you're getting your protein in, you're getting your carbs in, you're getting your greens in. So outside of sport, one of my favorite things to do is eat. Here in Athens, I've gone to just about every single restaurant. I really enjoyed trying them all out. And then now that I just wrapped up my 3rd year here, once we touched as many bases as we could, my friend group and we began to cook ourselves. So that's been a new hobby that we've picked up. At our different houses, we've all bought grills, and we've been just experimenting with different types of meats and like pastas and stuff there. So that's been a lot of fun. And I think that just sharing a meal with people is definitely my most is the best shared experience that you can have. I think that's that's something that I always look forward to whenever I can have company, you know, and it's definitely who I like to be outside of the track is just sharing time with people eating.
I like that. I like food too. So
Yeah.
I really like that you shared that. All right. So was there ever a day when the pressure to perform just felt intense and you never said anything? You kept it all to yourself. And how did you feel about that?
One of the times where the pressure feels heavier than normal is when you have people relying on you. So track and field, although some people consider it an individual sport, there is a team aspect to it. So when you get to big meets like the NCAA championships or the SEC championships, and now I can only assume what the world championships will feel like later this month, there is this team aspect where you're trying to do something for some organization greater than yourself. You know, while I was here at Georgia, you're doing it for your immediate Bulldog teammates, but then you're also doing it for your coaches, the staff, administration, and then just your peers on campus and people who are Georgia Bulldog fans. So when you kind of embrace that role and see how collective of a sport it is, and just any type of endeavor is, when a lot of people are working together to achieve something great, you don't want to let people down. So when you do see that first curveball or things go sideways, I think it's just human nature to feel a little bit of extra pressure, and you almost need to take a step back and just ground yourself that it's okay. Because like you were saying, the first question is, who are you outside of sport? Because that's really what matters. It's like, can you be a good person? Can you be humble? Can you be kind? And if you can do those things in victory and defeat, I think that you're truly winning. But when you do feel the pressure of trying to perform up to your expectations and your best, that's when you do feel a little bit of pressure. And
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's so important to be that person outside of the athlete and outside of that pressure, because at the end of the day, it's just a game, right? Or it's just, you know, life is much bigger, and you need to be that humble and kind person, and that matters most. So
that is true.
Thank you for sharing that. There's probably been, you know, a fail or a struggle that nobody knew about. In what is one of those moments, and how did you bounce back from that?
One of the things that we tried to do, and one of our favorite phrases at UGA, was always to control the controllables. So if you can take over your emotions, and you can try to be as baseline as possible and use the arousal for good and try not to get too deep in a pit, well, that's something that I believe you have control of. But what happens when something is outside of your control, and then you can really panic a little bit extra? That's kind of what happened to me last year at the Olympic trials. So in competition, in the javelin throw, one of the last things you have to do is you have to plant your left foot, and we have a bunch of spikes in the bottom of our shoe so that our foot sticks in the ground, and then we can finish the rest of our throw. But for some reason in this competition, I was sliding a lot, and I couldn't really figure out why. There were a bunch of different explanations what could have been, but one thing I would have never expected was that my equipment was failing me. So originally, like what we were talking about, control the controllables, you're trying to evaluate your technique, talk with your coach, do some self-reflecting to figure out what you're doing that might be causing this fault. And I kept doing that, but we kept seeing the same result. I kept sliding. And then it wasn't until the end of the competition where I actually was taking my shoes off to put them in the bag because I was done for the day, and I noticed that the first point of contact on my shoe, the first spike, was actually missing. So that was causing me to slide probably a centimeter. And with everything happening in the throw so fast, and hundredths of a second, tenths of a second, the littlest bit matters. So that was really a hard challenge to deal with, just because I felt let down by something else that I couldn't really control. But it's something that if you're perfect and you had, the foresight of a wizard, you would have been like, oh, my spike is out, let me just fix it. But coming to peace with that, to like say like, okay, I did everything that I can do. I tried to evaluate the best that I can, the way that I've trained myself to. In some sense, had I have thought, oh geez, well maybe my equipment's actually failing me, that would be something that almost never happens.
Yeah.
So it would almost be me looking to create a problem, and by the time I got to my shoe, well maybe I would have had to check my shirt to see if it was tucked in properly, or see if my arm sleeve was on correctly, or my pants were tied, and just doing all of those things, going down the list, eventually to get to your shoes, it's going to create so many more problems in the meantime. Yeah. So that was really hard, but now as I learned from the mistake, there's a couple things that I do now to just make sure that all of my equipment is ready for takeoff, for better or worse terms. I was listening to a podcast with some of the Navy SEALs, and they were just talking about what it's like before you go and jump out of an airplane and skydive. And so many certain things need to be ready for the jump, but it's not everything. You can't overemphasize all the little details, because then you could kind of get caught up and create a snowball effect where you're worrying about too many things for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But just to make sure that all of the essentials are met, I think is really important. That was a good lesson that I was able to take away from that.
Yeah, that's good. And that shows how you're not perfect, and nobody's perfect, right?
No.
Like you're one of like the biggest athletes and you still are imperfect, and that's totally normal. And it's great that you realize that and you bounce back, right? So that realization is a process, and then the fact that you bounce back is like, that's a win right there. You don't have to win to be a winner, right? When you realize and you learn from your mistakes, you're a winner.
The goal is growth. I think that is a saying that I try to live by, just to get better and to learn from my mistakes and constantly improve. If I can do that, better today than I was yesterday and better tomorrow than I am today, I'll definitely be happy whether that is winning or losing.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so javelin throwing probably took a lot from you. Time, social life, even sleep, which I love. How did you still hold on to yourself, like even after all that?
Yeah, you need to create some levels of priorities and understand yourself first. As important sport is to me, there are other things that need to complement it in order to make sure that I can actually give my all when it's time on the track. So like you were saying, sleep is something that's really important. Recovering, so we were talking about food a little bit earlier, but just getting your rest is really important. Having a social life and enjoying time, whether that's me time or it's time with your friends, is really important. And then when I was a student, and when I'm working, you just have to kind of add that factor in as well, because if your grades aren't up to par or your work is falling behind, well then you're not going to be able to pour everything that you need to into athletics. So just making sure that you take care of all of your bases is really important, and almost create a little bit of a schedule mentally, or if you have to write it down. I remember in undergrad I had a sticky note on top of my computer, and I would just have a checklist of all like the major things I need to do.
Yeah.
So just going down the list and making sure that I take care of everything that I want to take care of, but also everything that I need to take care of, so that I can pour all of myself into each individual moment, is really important. You can't neglect anything, because a negative experience is just going to pull you back.
Yeah.
From when you're trying to be great in something else.
Yeah. That's, I like how you mentioned social life, because I feel like a lot of athletes are like, oh, like I can't do this because like I can't distract myself. And I'm like, well, it's all about balance, right? Balance,
yeah. That's so true. And neglecting one area of your life, depending on the person, I would definitely consider myself extroverted. It's important for me to get out and laugh and have fun and see people and be in other people's company. So making sure that I understand myself enough to be able to do that is really important. And different people might prefer different things, but for me, just taking care of those basic needs every single day, to the best of my ability, or at least scheduling it into the week is really important.
Yeah, that's good. I relate to that. If someone saw you on a random day off, what's the one thing that they would be most surprised about?
I think one of my, I guess, dirtiest secrets would actually be that I'm super, super clean. So I kind of have like a shower obsession.
Yeah.
So I've gotten in many fights with a bunch of my female teammates because of how much that I shower.
Yeah.
And how much that I wash my hair. And they're like, you can't be doing that. That's really bad for you. But I think just having athletics as being one of the core parts of my life, I don't like to train and then go somewhere all sweaty, so I take a shower afterwards. But I'll shower so much. So I shower the first thing in the morning, I'll shower after training, I'll shower before bed. Sometimes I'll shower before I go out.
Yeah.
So I think they'd be probably surprised to see that even when I'm not training, I mean, any given day I'm in the shower at least twice, washing my hair twice.
That's interesting.
Just doing like, I don't know, showering is like one of my guilty pleasures. Like I love doing it. I love feeling clean.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people would probably consider it overkill doing it as much as I do.
That's a lot of work for sure. But hey, I mean, if it helps you, it helps you.
Yeah.
I can relate, but I don't shower like that. But I wash my hands all the time. I think that has to do with OCD.
Yeah.
That's a different topic. Was there ever a moment where you doubted yourself and you questioned why you were doing javelin throwing at all? What exactly were you feeling then?
There's definitely ups and downs of the entire process. I mean, being an athlete is just like being anything. As you're trying to get better, you're learning something new, and it's really hard to be good at something the first time that you do it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a generalization that everyone needs to remember, that at some point everyone started from nothing. Like even the best people are learning, constantly trying to evolve. But when you stumble on something that you've been working hard on, or something just doesn't seem to click, or you put so much preparation into one thing and you don't yield the result that you're hoping for, it gets to be a challenge mentally, and you want to maybe quit in the moment, or you maybe want to just take a break or take a step back or throw something at the wall because you're so frustrated. But that's a very temporary feeling. Yeah. And as I reflect on that question, having the opportunity to do all the things that sport has allowed me to do the last so many years has been worth any amount of challenge and struggle and peaks and valleys. Just getting out of those almost makes the success feel so much better. So when you're struggling in the moment, you really just have to understand that it is a moment. So hopefully you'll be able to get out of it, and it will make the triumph feel so much greater later on. Yeah. So keeping a long-term perspective, I think, would be the most important part about that. But I've certainly felt all of the emotions and frustrations of the sport.
Yeah, for sure. I can relate to that as well. But thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
Last question. What's a small victory you had in your journey that meant more than any big win you had?
The way that you can influence people without knowing it is, I think, the best feeling that I've ever had. I've been fortunate enough to have been told about ways that I've positively impacted people, but it was after the fact that I did it and I didn't even know that I was doing it. So I'm fortunate to have a bunch of accolades and to have won a couple of major championships, but all of those kind of just feel good in the moment and they fade really quick. You reach the peak and then you're kind of always looking for the next best thing. Now I've won the NCAAs, now I want to win the USAs, and then maybe I'll be able to win the world someday. But there's always the next level, and then, I mean, even if you win the world, it's like you're never just gonna quite be satisfied. But when you really influence people and impact them in a positive way, and you hear about it when you're not really trying to, I think those are the wins that are always going to stick around, and they're going to get you out of bed and make you feel better about yourself and make you want to keep going, because I mean it's so beautiful, and it's one of the best things that I've done is just have people tell me, oh, thank you for doing this, it makes me feel X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
And just going about my day being me and having that type of influence on someone, I mean, just really makes you want to keep going, because you feel like you're leaving a mark and a positive impact on the world, and you're supporting the greater good. Because at the end of the day, if I throw a stick far or not, I mean, some people might care a little bit, but not really. But if you can put a smile on someone's face and just make them embrace whatever moment they're in, or give them some type of material or inspiration to take them further in their journey, just knowing that you've had that type of influence is really, really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I agree. I totally agree that the little things have more effect on people than, you know, if you did win the Olympics tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's still amazing. But, you know, I feel like personally for someone, like, for example, for me, if you did something that had an effect on my life, that would mean so much more to me than you winning the Olympics. Even though I could be like, hey, like, I know this guy who just won the Olympics, you know?
Yeah.
But
And it was so well said.
yeah, awesome. Well, we are at my favorite part of this, which is called the rapid fire round. Do you know what that is?
I got an idea, but I'm kind of scared.
All right, well, I made the questions easy for you, but the rules are you have to speak the first word that comes to your mind, and you can't take too much time, because then I'll know that you're cheating and then you're lying, so watch out.
So one-word answers?
Yes. So whenever you're ready. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Describe your career in an emoji. Okay, fair enough. Your weirdest superstition.
I'll tuck my wristband
Yeah.
above or below my watch, depending on my mood.
Okay, fair. UPenn or Georgia?
Plead the fifth.
Okay, that was coming out of it easy, but fine. If not javelin, what other sport would you be playing?
Gymnastics.
Okay, I like that. I used to do gymnastics when I was really young, not now. Country music or rap?
Country.
I like that. Morgan Wallen? Please say you like Morgan Wallen.
Thumbs up.
Okay, good. First thing you do after a loss?
Go on the ice bath.
Okay. Who motivates you the most?
My family.
That's sweet. Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Okay. Early morning or late night practice?
Late night.
Okay. How do you celebrate?
With my friends.
Sweet. Me too. All right. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time and for your honest and heartfelt answers. You're truly an inspiration, and I hope the best for your upcoming events and your goals. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.